Well, here we are. We are not in the Yavneh Media Studio Audio Vodcast podcast booth. It is a great name. It's actually really short, but we are somewhere else. We are here on live on Zoom, directly out of the eastern suburbs, and we have got an all-star cast here for Zoom. The popularity and the callback from the general public was amazing for this, and that's why we are back. And who's back? We've got Mr. Brad Smith from Yavneh representing the Haas department. We've got Jack DeGoey Boymel. We've got Kalia, the Blues supporter Slade. We've got Mr. G Goldstein. We've got Isaac Struckers. And we've got obviously Mr. I Love the Cats for the win. And obviously your host, Mr. D. And I haven't hosted this for a while. Jack took those reins and he did really well, but then Corona happened, etc., etc. But let's not talk about that. We're here to talk about footy, what we've missed out on. We've got the prelim finals coming up. But I'm going to open the questions up right now to Isaac Struckers. What's going on with the Goey? What's happening? He's meant to stay at Collingwood. What's the deal?
No, Mr. D, absolute chaos happening now at the Pies. I mean, terrible trading period last year, and not going to lie, I think it might be a bit of a repeat this season. I mean, obviously the Pies in a bit of a rebuilding state at the moment. Awful season, especially with Buckley and everything. We'll come to that a bit later. But the thing with De Goey at the moment is, should he be, well, what I've been hearing with the rumours is, should he be traded to a few, first, second, third round draft picks? I mean, should that be the case? Personally, I don't think that should happen because for the stage of rebuilding, we need these experienced guns, these great players, and I don't think we can afford to be trading them out at this stage. And obviously, how we're going.
Or the Giants could steal our first pick again. How dare they? But anyway, moving on from that. Jack
down from the Great Western Sydney,
you guys actually had pick 2 and you already traded it for pick 20 something last year, and now you want to lose De Goey to get that pick 2 back.
It's called economics, business. Mr. Smith can micromanaging stakeholders. It's all about that, sir. Mr. G, stick to the history in English, mate, because this is business we're talking about. It's Collingwood Greek business. Anyway, it's not Greek, but yeah, Collingwood business. Jack Boymel, let us know about what's happened to Treloar. What, 2 kicks, 3 kicks? I think he's missing the black and white stripes, to be honest.
I think so as well. Look, his career average is 13 kicks per game, and he only got 2 against the Lions. Look, Jack Macrae had 14 times more kicks than him. Caleb Daniel had triple his disposals. And something I found interesting is usually his heat map, you see him going down the middle of the ground, attacking, but now you just see him on the wing. And I think the decision to play him on the wing was very poor because he's not dangerous there. And if he won a flag with the Pies in 2018, he would be remembered as a premiership hero. But this year, I think it's going to be people like Bontempelli, Macrae, those kind of players is who will be remembered. But Treloar, he doesn't, I don't know, it's not the same at a different club. And, I think out of players, Macrae, Bontempelli, Baslanka, I think Treloar's not as important as all of them. He's been injured for a lot of the season and they didn't miss him very much. And yeah, I think, unfortunately, unless he moves clubs, this could be the start of the end of his career.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll see what happens. That's 2 Collingwood questions we've had. Mr. Four, you enjoying it? Now we're up to, let's go to Kalia Slade directly from her residence. Couple things, Kalia. I really feel sorry for Carlton when this happens. Oh, wait, scrap that. Oh, sorry. I meant this is actually hilarious. What's happening with your club, Kalia? Who's going to coach Carlton? You got so many Clarko, Mickey Malthouse, Buckley. What's happening with Carlton? Who do you want to coach Carlton?
So we sacked another coach. I think that's 5 in the last decade, which everyone here knows my opinions on that. I do not think that continuously changing coaches is the greatest for our team, but that's all right. What's done is done. I hope we can stick to our next coach, whoever that may be, whether it's Brad Scott. Not going to be Ross Lyon. He pulled out of that, but yeah, I'm hoping for Brad Scott to, be like, yep, I'm going to take the reins. I'm going to stick with Carlton and just, because there's an element of, coach, player, relationship that needs to happen. You can't have that when, we're continuously sacking coaches, so that's my 2 cents on it.
Carlton, Ross Lyon. Can you imagine him, Mr. Ford, be like, well, we're under no illusions to, I want to coach Carlton, but they need to actually give me a call and we'll see what happens. Yeah. Good old Ross. We didn't want him. You know what? McRae, Collingwood is in, just to say, in case you're all wondering, Collingwood is in a good position. It's going to be great. But now I think I can feel the heat coming from this through my screen. We're talking about, we've got a cat, meow, and we've got a demon in our midst. Mr. G, before you give us your tip, what are your thoughts on playing the Cats again? Last time you played them at their home ground because they can't play anywhere else because they whinge a bit. But we all know what happened there. Something about after the siren, Max gone. I can't remember. Mr. Paul will fill me in. But Mr. G, tell me, what are your thoughts on playing the Cats again? Is this the year? Is it the year Barras is going to be singing that song? I really want it to happen. Go the D's. What are your thoughts on playing the D's again? Or the Cats again? Why D's can win the flag and your tip for the game, sir?
Yeah, good to see in prelim week we're done talking about Collingwood and Carlton. And now getting the teams that are still in. Wow, this has been the most nerve-wracking week of my life. I kind of don't mind being in Collingwood and Carlton shoes, knowing you just get to watch the footy and enjoy it without having to go through all this. I don't know how I can handle it, but I'm so excited. It's going to be a huge game. I think playing the Cats, like having to beat the Cats 3 times is a really tough ask. I think if we go back to our preseason predictions, I think a lot of us said that we're looking between Richmond and Geelong for the premiership, and while Richmond fell away, Geelong are probably coming into the year one of the strongest teams. A ridiculous midfield, key forwards that most teams would crave. So they're a really tough team to beat, and having to play them 3 times when you're the minor premiers, it's a tough ask, but I back the boys. I think if you're asking how can we win, as good as their forward line is, the D's have become the hardest team to score against. You got Stevie May and Jake Lever back there, all Australian fullbacks, and Petty help us out as well. We've got Hibberd coming back in the team. I think that's where we're going to win, where we have to win the game. If May and Lever have their good games, Geelong will struggle to score, and that's how we can win. Like, I think the midfields are very even, probably the 2 best midfields in the comp right now, those 2. But it's going to come down to Hawkins and Cameron against Lever and May. All Australians. Well, what a battle that's going to be. I said after week 1, I'm going to keep tipping Melbourne because they've earned my trust this year. So I can never tip against my team in a prelim. And I think, Mark, come on, you've been there so many times, Mr. Four. Give us one, please.
The lid is off. Boom.
Just one. Please, Mr. Four, just one.
Yeah. Look, everyone talks about September holidays, and put it this way, I haven't had a September holiday in about 15 years because the Cats have made finals nearly every single one of those years. But though I must say it'll be a cracking game. I think for the Cats it's been very worthwhile to have a run of consecutive weeks to test out that team balance, considering big Tommy Stewart went down with an ankle injury. And I think that's actually been good for the Cats to get a few key position players in the right spots at the right time and, fill in, those kind of game dynamics over the last few weeks. I think one of the big moves was putting, in the last couple of weeks that I've seen, is having Mark Blixarves down back. If short memories, but he was an All-Australian fullback. And
blah, 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 blah.
For Scott to finally play him in the back line for a full game in a final is surprising, but I think that's been I think that's going to hurt the D's.
I think hashtag free kick Geelong will hurt the D's too.
I'm expecting a slow game because the D's definitely have quicker wheels than the Cats. Yes, the joke of the older players is around, but I think it'll be a slow game. I haven't forgotten last time the D's played a prelim in Perth. I don't know about that halftime scoreline, but correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. D.
Dropping the bomb there. That is pretty full on. Mr. J, I wouldn't take that.
I don't know if they kicked a goal to halftime, so I'm expecting something similar. in this game. But look,
Oh,
I've been
boy.
surprised before.
Well, Mr. Four, look, you've got a old folks home down there, but they do the job, and Dangerfield and Selwood obviously never get rubbed out from the tribunal, so good that they're playing for you this week. We're going to go through the tips from everyone for that game. My tip, well, I'm going the D's because it's a grand old flag, so that's for me, and I just want to see. I mean, look, it's not that I don't like Geelong, but it's hilarious to see your face when you just go out. It's kind of like Geelong are the new Collingwood, I think. And if you just fail, it'll be all that bittersweet from that 2011 pain that I still feel in my heart. Mr. Smith, give us your tip.
Look, I wish no ill on Geelong. I'm from Sydney originally, as the scarf will attest. But I do think the D's will get this one. They're just so good all over the park. They've got particularly down back, but the mids as well. I think I expect the mids to do the job. So D's for me.
Mr. Jack Boymel, go ahead.
I think it's going to be a classic. I've tipped, my prediction is it'll be under a goal. Both incredible forward lines. We're going to see Cameron, Hawkins, Rowan, Pickett, Fritz, Jackson. Hopefully Jackson will keep all his teeth this game. But I think the big stat here is that Melbourne players combined 26 finals, but for the Geelong players, it's 146. They've got the experience. They've got the talent. I've got Geelong by 4 points.
Okay, there you go. Another Geelong, did you say? Wow, okay. Wowee. Kalia, who have you got for this game?
I've also got Melbourne. Even though Geelong do have that finals experience, I do think that Melbourne is just too good this year, and I'm just tipping them to come on top.
Gotcha. All right, Mr. G, we know you. And Strockers?
You know what? It's going to be another Brisbane Bulldogs match. It's going to be just an absolutely incredible match. I mean, if the game is played down in Melbourne, G, I'd say definitely go Melbourne. GMHBA, definitely Cats, but it's a away game for both teams. It's going to be a close one, but like Jack, I'm going to say it's a close one once again, and I'm going to go Melbourne.
Well, I'll tell you what, Strockers, looking at that, just in the tally, just did my mathematics, and the Ds, we've got 4 of us choosing the Ds and 2 of us with the Cats. Interesting. That doesn't really, but it's a very interesting stat that. But Mr. Four, look, Mr. G, the lid is off. I wish the D's all the best, and Mr. Four, I want it to be a close game, just to see the stress through the text messages. But it is on Shabbat, so I'll save them for the next day. It's going to be a ripper of a game, but that is pretty. There you go, 4-2 for our tips. Now we move on to the Port Adelaide Power versus the Doggies. Sound effect in. Thank you very much. Okay, here we go. Now, looking at this game, I'm going to go with start off with Strockers. I want you to tell us your tip for this game, and then I want you to give us your Brownlow tip, sir. Actually, Strockers, just give us your tip for the Port Adelaide Bulldogs game first.
So I'll give you a bit of context before I answer the tip, Mr. D. Hashtag Strockers was on and on and on. I knew I like that one from previous.
I've got 2 on and on, mate. Yeah, let's go.
That's it, Mr. D. But Port Adelaide Bulldogs, it's going to be a close one. I mean, Port Adelaide, they're a powerhouse team. They play at home. I mean, away, I wouldn't tip Port Adelaide. But, I mean, Bond could be out for the Bulldogs, which is a huge, huge loss. They're good team, Bulldogs, but I'm going to go Port Adelaide. I reckon they'll take away probably about 15 or so. Do you want me to do Brownlow as well?
No, we'll come back to that, Strockers. So Port Adelaide on the board for Strockers. Mr. Smith, give us your tip and why.
So unlike my Geelong comments, I actually do harbour ill will on the Bulldogs. I still have some very bad memories of the last time the Bulldogs looked like they do now, which is the 2016 season when they eventually won the flag against the Swannies. That was a very, very sad experience in the stands that day. So there's something to be feared about the Bullies, like playing the way they're playing. They look a lot like that team, but I just reckon Port at home. I'm with Strockers, actually. I think if this game was in a neutral territory, but the Bont injury and the Port at home, I can't go past Port. I'm going to say Port by 3 goals, I will say.
Oh, snap. All right. Mr. Four, are you going to watch this game, or are you just going to, you might be in tears, or you could be happy, but, you could be watching it intently. But what is your tip for this huge game?
I'm picking the underdog. I'm going to go the doggies for a reason. I think they'll throw Treloar down the middle again because Bonts, they're saying he's got a corked calf, but I think there's a little bit more damage than that. So I think he'll push up forward for the game, and that'll leave guys like Dunkley and Treloar to play bigger games through the middle and to leave a handful up forward. Including the Bont down there. So I'm going to tip the doggies.
Nice. Doggies for you. Jack Boymel, go ahead, champ.
Great minds think alike. I've also got the doggies because I feel as if in the qualifying final I saw that they didn't use, the Power didn't use Dixon as much because they're very predictable when going forward, looking for Charlie Dixon. So what they did against the Cats is they were looking for their small forwards a lot, Rosie, Butters, Motlot. And I think they did that very well. But you got to remember last week, after quarter time, Charlie Cameron didn't kick a goal. And I think if the Bulldogs can slow down Power's small forwards, and as Mr. Force said, if they can get Baslenka and Bontempelli into the forward line, I think the Bulldogs are going to win by 9 points.
Gotcha. Thank you for that, Jack. Kalia Slade, give us your thoughts on that huge game.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game. I'm actually going to disagree with you, Jack and Mr. Four. I think that Port's going to win. I reckon their forward line is just too strong for the doggies, and especially with that Bont injury, I reckon that Port have got this, I don't know, if I say 3-4 goals.
So Port for you, Carly, is that right?
Yep.
Well, Carly, I had another question for you, though. You've picked Port, but do you think that doggies can go all the way?
I'm going to say no.
Yeah. There goes that question. No, go ahead. Yeah, tell us why.
Well, A, I've just tipped Port, sorry.
Yes, of course.
But B, I do think, I really want, even though it's Mr. G's team, I really want Melbourne to win the flag this year. I reckon they really deserve it after the year they've had, and they've just been playing really great footy, and I think they'll come on top of Bulldogs, even if Bulldogs do win this game. Their forward line, their midfield, Maxi gone last week. I just think Melbourne's going to win the flag, and even then, Port would come before Bulldogs.
Maxi Gorn is the number one culprit of Mr. Four's nightmares. But yeah, Mr. G, give us your tip, and then I'll give you mine. Go ahead.
I actually do think doggies will win this game, and I think they very well could go all the way. They're a great team to watch. They're very slick with the ball, and if their forward line functions, they'll win the game easily because of that awesome midfield. And not to mention, I think the home crowd that Port have will be negated the same way it was against Brisbane with the doggies run with the umpires is the most extraordinary thing I've ever seen. They had, I think, a differential of more than 90 over the season, plus 90 free kicks. And then some of those decisions in the Brisbane game, I think it shows when you're playing footy that well, you get to the ball first and you're very quick with it, you get rewarded. And I think that's why they win a lot of their games, because of how quick they are off the ball. And I think that style of football, when they beat Melbourne, I think back in round 20, they looked like the clear favourite. And they struggled after that, but I think they found their groove in the last 2 weeks. And at their best, they're probably the best.
Yeah. You know what? We're looking at a deadlock here of 3 to Port Adelaide, 3 to the Dogs. I've got to give my tip here as the let me tell you something. I love a good twist ending in a film. And Mr. Four, you know that I teach film, and you tell me, go and watch a movie, and I tell you, go drink a Gatorade, etc. But I'm thinking of it in terms of a movie. I would love a twist ending, and I think that doggies, can you imagine getting up that would be something. Can you imagine a D's Dogs grand final? Double D, D's Dogs, that would be great. I mean, Cats, whatever. But I'm going with the Dogs, so there you go, 4-3. Tell you what. Now we're going to go into this, guys. We'll get through this as quick as we can, but we'll get into Brownlow medal tips. Mr. Smith, just give us your tip and why.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ollie Wines. It's probably not an unusual tip, but I just think you look through the list, it's always that big age-old debate about, who's the best player in a great team, in a team that's been winning a lot, and who are the others that could steal votes off them. And that's why I lean away from someone like Clary Oliver, who some of you may pick. I just think Wines probably has less taking the picks off him, taking the numbers off him.
Mr. Four, your Brownlow medal vote, and try not to be a Geelong player, please.
Well, yeah, Danger got rubbed out in round one, so he's off the radar.
He's gone,
I'm going to pick one out of left field here. I'm going to go Jack Steele from the Saints, not only because the Saints need something to cheer about, within the last 10 years, but no, I don't think there's anyone from the Saints who would have stolen any votes from him, and he played an incredible second half of the season where I think he could have accumulated the number of votes he would have needed to win the Brownlow just from half a season. I think he was incredible, and I've got him down for my Brownlow pick.
Thank you, Mr. Four. Jack, who are you going for, champ, for the Brownlow? What's your tip?
So I'm going to go for Jack Crisp. No. But I thought initially I thought Bontempelli was going to win it. But look, there's so much talent in the Dogs. McRae, Treloar had good games, so I think a lot of people will take votes off him. And as Mr. Smith said, Ollie Wines, looks like the favourite right now. I mean, I feel like the only player that could really steal votes is Boak, and I can't see anyone beating Wines. However, I do think Took Miller is going to have fantastic rack up some votes.
Thank you, Kalia. Brownlow medal tip.
I'm going to agree with Mr. Four. I'm also going to go for Jack Steele. His second half of the season was absolutely amazing, and no one else in St Kilda I can see stealing votes of him. So, I'm going to go Jack Steele.
All right. Mr. G?
Yeah, I think the key to the Brownlow is not just being a good player, but not having good players stealing votes off you. I think Mr. Smith said it best, and I think Bontempelli and Oliver are clearly the two best players over the year, although I think one of the year 12s at our school didn't put Oliver in his top 5 midfielders in the league. I found that absolutely laughable. And I think Oliver won the Coaches Award, which I think players value very highly because of who's actually voting in that one. So I think it will come down to Jack Steele or Ollie Wines. I think Ollie Wines could find himself about 10 votes back with about 6-7 rounds to go and still win it. I think he could honestly pick up 3s in the last 7 or 8 rounds. It was crazy, his final run. So I think he's the one to watch. I think Jack Steele deserves it because he's not only not playing with other good players, he's literally playing with 17 guys who VFL standard this year. So he would also deserve it a lot. I think ultimately it should be Clary or Bontempelli, but I think they'll have votes stolen off him.
Gotcha.
I think something surprising with the Saints will be, I feel as if with Jack Steele, Bradley Hill, I think he's going to take a lot of votes off because they use Bradley Hill very nicely throughout the year. And I think the reason Steele won't be able to win is because he'll take some of those votes.
Interesting, Jack. Strockers, give us your Brownlow tip and then I'll give you mine.
Easy. So I'm going to have to obviously back in Mr. Four and Carly. I do think Jack Steele will take it away. I mean, wouldn't be surprised if some other guys come out. I mean, Jack McRae, for example, very underrated in terms of when you speak about the Brownlow. I mean, it's averaging, I don't know, it's like 33 disposals for the first half of the season. Absolutely killing it. But I think Jack Steele, I mean, as Mr. G said, like his team basically, like they compliment him because he's absolute gun. So I think Jack Steele will take it away though.
Okay. Well, look, here's my tip, people. I don't find it interesting, the Brownlow, because there's no Collingwood players that could win it this year, but I'm going to go with this. No one's picking a star. I love Petrarca because he's a half Italian, which is next to Greece as well. So going to go with Petrarca because also he's actually a gun player. And I'm very surprised, Mr. G, I know you've got other players like Oliver and all those and Gorn and all that, but Petrarca, the dark horse for me, this guy, he just reminds me of the way I play my footy as well. I mean, I got the golden boot this year, Mr. Ford, I don't know if you know. But yeah, it's on record. It's
all goals did you kick?
9 in 7 matches or something. Doesn't matter about it. It's about having fun, Mr. Four. So you always talk about goal tally, but I'll just tell you that. So Petrarca for me.
9 goals would also win the Collingwood goal kicking.
Oh, Mr. G, you want me to mute your mic? I think there's a problem with your, yeah. Oh, okay, I'm joking. All right. So listen up. We've done that. Now we'll go with, we're going to go with premiership tips, but literally, because we're going to re-look at this next week, hopefully. Just one word, one tip, and why in like under 10 seconds. Mr. Smith, go ahead.
The Swans. Oh, no, not in it. Sorry, forgot about that. Grand Old Flag, D's.
Good.
And why? Best team across the park. Really been the best team all year.
Mr. Four, should we just pencil you in for D's or?
That's experience, cool heads under pressure. They'll take it out.
All right. Jack?
I said at the start of the year, I'll stick with it. Geelong are winning the flag. You know, they've got the experience, they've got the talent, they've got the coaching, they've got the players. I've got the Cats.
Okay. Kalia?
These, I said it before.
Oh, yes. That's right. Gotcha. Mr. G, Goldstein?
My head says Bulldogs, but I'll never look past my heart, and I'll go with the D's.
Grand Old Flag. Strockers?
I'm going the D's. I mean, great form all year. Just powerhouse team. Like, they're going to be playing neutral stadium as well. No one's going to get a home advantage, so they're going to take it away.
That's the key here, Strockers. Neutral stadium, not anyone's home ground. Looking at you, Mr.
Exactly.
Football. Yeah. I'm going to D's because it is a Grand Old Flag. I love history, and I love history. And back then, Melbourne and Collingwood were the dominant powers of the VFL, and so it should be. It needs to go back to the MCG. I need to walk into the MCC, and I need to see that thing up on the wall that says Melbourne won the grand final. Melbourne are like Collingwood, you know. We just gel really well. It's just, well, I mean, not so. There's probably more Melbourne MCC supporters than Collingwood MCC. Mr. Four once said to me, "How did they let you in?" I'm like, "How dare you? How dare you?" Guys, I've got a pretty fun segment coming up. We're going to do a bit of a, not emojis, but thumbs up, thumbs down. It's a good call, bad call, right? And here we go. So you just put thumbs up, thumbs down so the audiences can see. Okay, here we go. Good call, bad call. Toby Green should have gotten 6 weeks. Good call, bad call. I'm going to put thumbs up. Oh, thumbs down, Jack. Okay, well, Jack, tell us why 6 weeks isn't good enough. 3 weeks is okay.
Simple as this, it wasn't malicious. If he deliberately went and he bumped the umpire deliberately, I think he could have easily moved, and I think he deserved 3 weeks. I think he did the wrong thing, and I think this needs to be scrapped out of our game. No one can make contact with umpires, but he brushed his shoulder. Yes, it was the wrong thing to do. He does deserve, I say he deserves 4 weeks, but I don't think he deserves a month and a half off for contact as little as that. However, it was really bad form from Toby.
Well, Jack,
he's lost the captaincy there. I think I think if this didn't happen, he would have picked up the captaincy next year. So it's more than just a suspension. I think he's lost the right to be a captain next year.
Jack, look, as I said before, winning the Golden Boot this year. Let me just say one thing. You know, playing in the VAFA leagues or whatever leagues it is, right? And I've been playing a long time, Mr. Four. You played the game once or twice, maybe. I don't know. Jack, you've played the game, Mr. Smith. Kalia, Strockers, we all know either it's a Yavneh or a Wait. But umpires, I'm sorry, it's got to be like the NBA. If you come anywhere near an umpire and you bump them or whatever, look, Diesel Williams got 9 weeks back in the day, but this, with Toby Green, I know it wasn't malicious, Jack, but you can't have kids seeing that kind of vision, no matter whatever happened, like he didn't mean to do it, whatever. Imagine in the VAFA, we had under 15s and that happened to like a poor umpire that's like 16, 17 years old or whatever. Either way, even my leagues or whatever, the reserves, the seniors, whatever it is, you just got to stamp it out. And it's just too many times for Toby. How many times has been in the tribunal, Mr. G? 25 times or something?
I think the other issue is if you see other players come out in support of Green, it shows the lack of respect for umpires.
Yeah.
AFL had to do something about that. And he basically hip and shouldered an umpire. It's 3 weeks, he's very lucky, I think.
Can I just say, Mr. G, talking about umpires, I've umpired every year 11 and 12 backboard footy match and back gate, front gate. And I remember you in 2008, I gave a call for holding the ball and you had some language. And obviously you teach English, you've got great language. It wasn't anything too malicious, but I said, if you say that to me again, that I'm a bad umpire, I will send you off. And I respect you, Mr. D.
I think you're telling porkies here. Mr.
Yes,
D.
I'll probably
I
watch someone else.
I actually praised your umpiring for calling play on when someone got shoved into a fence. So
Yes, someone did get shoved into a fence, but yeah, many, many years ago. Let's hope we can get back onto the Yavneh footy ground and have those games that we need to have. But I'll tell you what, guys, the last segment I've got here on my list is the big, huge calls by Struckers, Jack and Kalia. Australia. Kalia, what is your big call for the week?
I actually don't have one prepared.
I know, I sprung that up on everyone, sorry.
Yeah.
Or even for next year. How do you think Carlton will go for next year? Put it that way.
Anything that I think that it's not a big call, but I really hope that we're going to learn our lesson and, you know, stick with a coach and build up our resilience as a team and, yeah, just not continuously sack our coaches. And that's my hope. It's not a big call, but it's a hope.
Jack, big call, huge call. What do you got?
A huge call? All right, if it's a huge call, all 17 teams besides Collingwood get caught with the drug scandal and the flag is given to us by default.
Oh, that would be so awesome. I'd just love to take it off Mr. Four's hands and be like, here you go. Thank you, Danger. Thank you, Scott. Back to the cattery. Struckers, big call.
Mr. D, cue the music, the intense music.
Oh, the intense music. Here we go. Intense music. Yep, it's on.
Good stuff. My big call is Nick Dacos will not be the Lord and Saviour Collingwood fans were hoping for next year.
He will be the saviour for Collingwood fans. Is that what you just said?
He will not be the Lord and Saviour. Everyone's saying,
whoa. Okay, Struckers, do I have to mute your mic? This is like...
Mr. D, I told you every single podcast we'll film. I only speak facts. I'm going to have
a word with the Rabbi Cowan about this, actually. We need to discuss these options about you on the... You're a Collingwood supporter, champ, and you're you know what? We're going to rename this podcast the Collingwood Podcast. Mr. G, do you agree? We're talking about Collingwood.
What do you mean change it?
Oh, yeah, true. Well, look, guys, it's been 32 minutes. Wowee. I've got to get this uploaded. But I'll tell you what, I just want to thank everyone for joining us. Where's the dramatic music? There we go. I want to thank Mr. Smith, Mr. Four, Jack Boymel, Kalia, Mr. G. Goldstein and Struckers for this fantastic meeting we had. I mean, we can have all the assemblies we want, but it is the Footy Vodcast is back, and hopefully we can join up again next week for... Well, actually, we've got a couple of weeks. Isn't there a bye between the grand final now? So that means that Mr. G will be preparing for that, and hopefully the Bulldogs fans as well. Mr. Four, well, I'll hear from you over the weekend, maybe. That's it from me. I think, again, with the dramatic music, thank you all again for everything. Wave goodbye to everyone. Hello, everyone at Yavneh. And we will see you soon. Shana Tova to all. Happy Rosh Hashanah. Shana Tova. And I'll see you guys soon on the next episode of the Yavneh Media Footy Podcast, which is not in the Yavneh Media Footy Podcast booth. Catch you then. Ciao.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Oh, how was that?
Beautiful.
Awesome.